can see us and if you can hear us, leave us a comment. Let us know that you're here with us live. We do this every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you can see us and you can hear us, just say something in the chat. Hit the heart button, hit the like button. Let us know you are live here with John and Travis. We're the Get Karate Students guys. And if you're on with us live, type the word live. That's one thing you can type if you don't know what to type. If you don't want to say hi, or you don't want to just chat something in goofy, just type the word live and let us know you're on here live with us. Or if you're watching the replay, go ahead and type the word replay in the comments, and we will make sure that we can get to those questions. We're going to try and answer a bunch of questions today live. It's exciting because I love these. This is my favorite, the Q&A calls, because it really helps us help school owners specifically with their specific questions. So this is my favorite. We're going to be opening up some space. A couple of weeks ago, we did a training on how to get 5 to 15 new students every month without going broke paying for ads. And so today we're going to answer some questions that have come up since then. And if you're on with us live, you get the benefit of asking those questions live with us while you're right here on the call with us. So that's super exciting. So while we're doing that, go ahead and ask yourself, like, what is the biggest challenge when it comes to running ads on Facebook? What are you struggling with? What are you having problems with? What are you afraid of? What kind of things, come up in your mind when you're thinking about running ads for your school? And, something else you can think about is, what have you tried? I'd love to see what you've tried. I'm trying to do two things at once here, Travis, and it's really hard. But I almost typed, everyone, we live.
Apparently that's been an obstacle for you, John. Typing.
It's an obstacle. It's typing and talking at the same time is difficult. It's difficult.
I love hearing what people have tried, because there's so much out there, especially today in today's world. There's all kinds of things. There's the old stuff that doesn't really work anymore. It kind of does, but it's not consistent. The parades, the mailers. Can't tell you how many school owners I've talked to that are opening their school for the first time in the last couple months, and their marketing plan is to send out mailers to the community. Which, again, I'm not knocking mailers, but I'm like, oh man, that's such an old way of doing things, and I hope that it works, because we want a full school right away. But then there's also, on the flip side, people are running TikTok ads. You got the whole range of everything that's ever been done and everything that's new to have been done. So there's just this golden corral of marketing that's out there. And I'm excited to get some clarity for people today, so they can understand that, hey, you don't have to do all those things. You can really just focus on one thing, because you didn't just open your school to become a marketing guru. You open your school to teach and instruct and help the community and help people grow. So I'm excited to get clarity for that. And that's why, John, I love the Q&As. When it's on our calendar, Q&A, I love the interviews because they get me fired up about what can happen for people. But I love the Q&As because it's just like, hey, we're actually like diving into what you're dealing with right now, and we're able to provide value immediately, which I love. So if you have questions, go ahead and make sure you get them in the chat. Aurelius is here, Paul, Elba, John. Good, throw them all in the chat so we can get them clarified for you. Hey, you have two guys that have enrolled probably almost 20,000 full paying students, John. So might be able to answer a question you have.
Maybe. We've worked with just about 400 schools at this point, getting pretty close to that. Like, directly work with, not like we did a training on a stage in front of 400. Like, we've directly worked with paying members of our program, just about 400 schools, and verifiable, almost 20,000 students paying collectively. So yeah, I'd say we've seen some stuff. And the funny thing is, what's funny about it is we're doing it different than almost everyone else out there. We're breaking a lot of the rules that a lot of the gurus are teaching. They're telling you to do all sorts of crazy things, and we're doing the opposite of that stuff. And what we're doing is working like crazy. And so that's why this is an exciting thing. It's an open forum. You can ask us anything. You can just start dropping those questions in the chat right now, whether it be about enrolling students, running ads on Facebook, how to pay for those ads by using paid trial income. And we'll start compiling those questions. I know we've put together a list of some questions that have come in since the training a couple of weeks ago. And what's super cool is, like, this is like a fast thing. Things change very quickly for schools that have been struggling. And a lot of times, maybe you hire an agency or you start working with a guru and they're like, you got to give this some time, like 3 months, 6 months before things start to really hit. And that's just not true. I mean, you can see results within a week if you really, do the work and you get the stuff done that you need to get done. We see so many schools that just they start, and then like within a week they've already seen results. So that's exciting.
Right. I love that. And it's if you didn't see our interview last week with, I believe it was Nick that we interviewed last week. Sometimes it all blurs together.
Yeah.
But Nick is a great example. When he joined the program, he was also a teacher. He was looking to leave the teaching job so he could focus full on his school. And he thought it was going to take 6 to 12 months. 2 months later, he's handing in his papers because things are going well. So we have a question already come in. Well, first of all, Mr. Kurth wants to know 30-second elevator pitch. We get students in the door. We get karate students in your door. There's your 5-second elevator pitch. Find a charger, and we can drive into more specific questions you have, or not. We'll show you. I'll send you a little message too, so that way if your battery dies, we can still stay in touch. But Aurelius asked a question about attracting adults, and I think this is a question a lot of school owners ask. Is how do I get adults in? How do I get adults into the school? The mentality of adults is not the same for the mentality of kids. So I think this is a great question, John, because it really can create a platform and set a foundation for good business sense, but also good value being provided to the community. So what would you say to someone that wants to know more about getting adults in the doors?
Yeah, I love it. It's a great question. We get that question quite a bit, actually. So, a couple of things. First of all, I would want to make sure that if you're only teaching adults and that's what your school is based on, the foundation of your school is only adult classes, then stick around. We'll talk about how to attract the adults. But I think a common mistake that I see people make is they've got kids classes, they've got adults classes, and they maybe like teaching the adults better and the kids are okay. But none of the classes are full yet, and they're really just kind of trying to get by and trying to make revenue. I'm a big fan of pulling big levers, right? And so doing the least amount of work for the biggest amount of return, not because I'm lazy, just because I like efficiency, right? If I can spend an hour and $100 on something that's going to return me $200, or if I can spend an hour and $100 on something that's going to bring me $1,000, same amount of work, same amount of money input, I'm certainly going to pull the lever for $1,000 return, a 10x return, right? And so kids classes are definitely easier to market. The audience is much easier to reach. The students have a much higher lifetime value. So first thing I would say, if you were to ask me, how do you market for adults? The first question I would ask is, are your kids' classes full? And the only exception to that would be if you have a school that does not teach kids, then we can talk about that. But if you teach kids and that's part of your curriculum and the classes are not completely full, I would fill up those kids' classes first, because that basically lays this foundation. It takes away so many variables. First of all, it makes it easy to know what's going right and what's going wrong in your what we call KPIs, which is just stuff we look at, right? Because there's a lot of variables to it. It's not just like you run an ad, they become students. There's a whole process. You run an ad so that you can book an appointment for an intro lesson, so that you can sell a paid trial, so that you can upgrade them to a student. So, there's that whole process there that is much easier to work out with kids, first of all. With moms of kids that are maybe under the age of 12, it's probably the easiest market to reach, because it's such a natural thing for those age people to be doing martial arts. Adults, it's a smaller audience, right? They don't stick around as long. They're not as faithful to the school as younger students. They don't have anybody holding them accountable except you. Whereas if you've got a 12-year-old or under, they've got you holding them accountable, but they also have mom and dad holding them accountable, right? So there's we could get into the whole list of the reasons why, but the bottom line is the data says under 12, easiest audience to reach, cheapest audience to reach, biggest return on investment, and higher lifetime value. So that's that. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about how do you attract adults to your school. Here's the big shocker. The exact same way you attract kids to the school. We do the same thing. We just change it up a tiny little bit. So, typically our ads will say something like, hey, Chicago area moms, do you want your kids to blah, 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 have better discipline, learn to focus and learn how to defend themselves? For an adult ad, we usually like to put either some kind of like a self-defense spin or some kind of like fitness spin. Those are usually the two angles that you can go for, because martial arts obviously teaches self-defense. A lot of people that want to learn martial arts or might be interested in martial arts aren't necessarily looking for martial arts specifically, but they are looking for ways to defend themselves. So for some reason with adults, self-defense gets a better response than, say, jujitsu or karate. If you're marketing your product, market it as a self-defense mechanism. That typically does better. Or a fitness, because obviously there are fitness benefits to doing martial arts. You're doing strength training, you're doing other types of training that are good for fitness. You're doing cardio. So, those are the two angles to attract adults. So hopefully that answers the question. Feel free, if you have follow-up questions, you can chat those in as well. But that's my long and short version.
Yeah, great question. And then I think, and like John said, it really is. If you have more to follow up with that, put it in the chat. We'll make sure we get it covered. Kind of connects to JW Kurth. He asked a question, and we're going to reach out, as we said, JW, about talking a little bit more detail about what we do. But he had a question about how do you differentiate yourself between like MMA programs and things like that. I think this is an easy solution, right? We just need to get people in the door, and then they should feel the differentiation. But what would you say, John, to school owners that are looking for, because there's a big draw to like BJJ, and which again, that's great. BJJ school, great. MMA school, great. But if you're a more traditional karate, really any school, how do you differentiate yourself from the other offerings in the community?
Yeah, I think, there's going to be misconceptions no matter what audience you're in, whether you're looking for the MMA or you're looking for the traditional. And people that are holding too strong of misconceptions are not really going to be swayed in an ad anyway. So, like you said, Travis, getting them in the door is the biggest thing you can do. And the easiest way to get them in the door is to advertise a free week to remove any barriers for them to come try it if they're even remotely curious, because that's really who we're advertising to, right? We're not advertising with martial arts advertising. We're not advertising to people who aren't remotely interested, right? Those are the people we don't want to attract. We want to attract to people that like we could just tweak their interest a little bit, right? Now there's places for advertising, like pharmaceutical companies. They don't market to people who are remotely interested. They market to people who don't even know they have the disease that they're trying to cure, right? They're like, if you have this problem, and if you have that problem, if you have that problem, you might have this disease. And if you have this disease, you might want to talk to your doctor about this drug. Now, we can get into the whole moral discussion on that at another time. But with martial arts, we're not trying to convince people that martial arts is the answer. What we're doing is we're putting out there what we have to offer: discipline, respect, fitness, whatever those things are, whatever your school focuses on. And we're finding the people that are in your audience that are already maybe could be possibly interested in that. And then we're nurturing them toward becoming a student. So, differentiating yourself from an MMA school, if you're a traditional school, that's all going to come once they set foot into your school. And the way to get them into your school is to find people who are probably interested in that stuff anyway, the traditional martial arts. So you're going to run an ad to people who are probably interested in that anyhow. Hopefully that answers the question. I'm not sure if it does, or if the differentiation.
To kind of add to it, John, we when we were talking about this a little bit earlier today, I think when we are experts in our field, and it's our whole life, like our whole life is martial arts, right? We run the martial arts school, and it's all encompassing of our day, like it's just surrounding us. Sometimes we lose focus that it's not something that's part of everybody else's full day. I was a history teacher for a long time, and I just kind of assumed. I got to the point where I was like, well, this is just normal knowledge. It's like, no, most people aren't thinking about and following these things throughout the day. One thing is, in the industry, if we run into people that are really into MMA, then that's fine. Let them be. It's not our job to convince them that we're better than MMA, or if we're an MMA school that we're better than Taekwondo or anything. If there's going to be certain people that are already attracted to those things, and that's okay. That's fine. It's an abundance mindset that there's plenty of people that would be interested in what you have to offer. There's a ton of people out there that most people, we have to remind ourselves, are not us. We are not our customer. Most people do not know the difference between MMA, Kempo, Taekwondo, anything like that. They just know that there's self-defense or there's things out there for structure and discipline, Krav Maga. They don't know that there's a difference between all these things. So really it's just a matter of getting as many people in the door as possible that have an interest in this type of stuff and letting them see what you provide value-wise. And then if it's a good fit for them, then perfect. If they're super aggressive and really competitive, then maybe Taekwondo might, maybe MMA is a better fit for them. I'm not saying Taekwondo is not aggressive and competitive, but we know that there's just different aspects of each thing. And just having that mindset of, I just need to cast a net onto everybody that's interested in these things. And most people that come in are going to be a part of what we're doing. The other people, it might not be a good fit. We have a story of a school owner that he refers people to the other schools in his community because he knows that those schools are a better fit for those certain things because he has such a great abundance mindset and his calendar is full. And that's a really important aspect, right? When our calendar is empty, it's like, all right, well, here's all this competition out here and I got to get all these people signed up. But if our calendar is full and someone comes in and this isn't the best fit for them, it's super easy and actually high integrity to say, hey, this isn't the best for you, but over here might be. This school owner used to actually find out what the other promotions were for the schools around him. And he would say, hey, this isn't the right school for you, but I know this school down the road, they have a 30-day free trial. Here it is. Take this coupon with you because his calendar was full. And that's really the biggest thing. Get your calendar full. And then when people come in, they're going to notice the differentiation on their own. And then when they notice it, they're going to become students long term. They're going to be people saying, hey, these are the guys that are honorable and integrity and all that kind of stuff. In fact, we've seen that same school owner, he gets students sent back from people that he sent away because they're like, hey, it wasn't the right fit for me, but I know it's the right fit for your son. You should go check it out. So I don't know if that gives you clarity, JW. I know there's a lot of different things we talked about there, but honestly, the simplest thing is getting as many people in the door as possible to just experience what you have. And they're going to differentiate it themselves. And the people that want to be there are going to sign up. The people that don't want to be there, you don't want them there anyway. And maybe we can connect them with something, it is a good fit for them. So
definitely. You know what I love about these questions too is I can tell that JW has probably studied some marketing, which is impressive because I know a lot of school owners that don't study marketing. And so as a business owner, it's really good that you've studied some marketing and looked at, some terms like, was JW the one asking for an elevator pitch too?
yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, the stuff that you're asking about is definitely like marketing jargon, which shows me that you've done some research in marketing. And I think one of the great things about that is you learn all this stuff. But one of the real negative things about it is sometimes we overcomplicate it for martial arts. Um, Marketing a local martial arts school is way less complicated than what most people think. And that's very apparent based on what we've seen in working with over 400 schools. Is the biggest hurdle for us as coaches is to overcome all of the desire to do more. Right? We keep it so simple that people are like, this is all I have to do to fill up my mats. And it's so much easier than you probably think. If you've done any research in marketing, I mean, you can get deep into the whole of all the different marketing psychology and and I've done that. I mean, I've been, Travis and I've been down that rabbit hole way deep and way wide for marketing and psychology and sales and all that stuff. And we've studied pretty much everybody you can imagine. But for a martial arts school, it's so simple. It's so much simpler than you think, because it's an easy thing to, people understand it already. You're not like, you don't have to explain it. You don't have to sell it. It is what it is. And you just have to cast the net, like you said.
perfect. Awesome. Well, JW said that was solid points. If anybody has any other questions or anybody has a follow-up to that, love to hear it. Love to get in there for you. But what would you say, John, is the simplest way then to get that consistent calendar, to get people in the door, cast that net, and have that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I'll beat this horse till it's dead twice. Is run a free week of karate. That's part one, is getting an ad for a free week. It's the simplest, easiest. And then using that as a way to get people in the door. Once they're in the door, giving them the better offer upgrade, which is upgrading to a paid trial on day one. So making sure when they come in, they understand they can keep the free week if they want the free week, or they can upgrade to a paid trial with a free uniform on day one, right? And then really understanding the math to create the flywheel. So understanding how much do I have to charge? How much am I paying to get somebody in the door? And how much do I have to charge to recoup that so that I can continue paying for ads to get people in the door, and just creating that flywheel, knowing the numbers really. Those are probably the three key things that we should probably dive into based on the questions we've gotten in the past. But I'd love to jump into any other questions if any are coming in. But those are the three kind of buckets, I'd say.
Yeah, let's dive into those, John, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys are ready to dive into those questions, let's see some comments. Let's type the word ready in the comments if you're ready to get a little deeper into those three things: running an ad for a free week, upgrading to paid trial on day one, or knowing that math and creating that flywheel. If you're ready, just type the word ready in the comments right now. We live on the comments. I love the comments because we're live here, but we're not in the same room. We can't see your facial expressions. We can't tell if you're interested, if you're checking your email. We can see a number of people who are watching, but we can't see unless you type ready. We don't know if you're ready. We don't even know if you care, if this is something you want to see about, right?
JW's ready. Ignacio's ready.
All right, let's do it. So let's talk about the free week first. There's a few points within this category of the free week, and really the first thing is this is something that you can keep running 365 days a year. So you don't have to continually change for every season. You don't have to come up with a new special for Halloween, and then a new special for New Year's, and then a new special for Christmas in reverse order there probably, and then a new special for whatever. It's one ad. It's for a free week of karate, and we keep it running 365 days a year, and we really never change that offer, and we never have to. I see a question from Heather. What platform are you seeing the most results from?
Yeah. So where would you run? I was going to cut in there
Yeah.
when you got done with that, but
Yeah.
what platform would you run this? Why is that
Yes.
platform the most
So
successful?
absolutely. Facebook works the best by far. I mean, it's the number one easiest setup. It requires the least amount of technology. It requires the least amount of tweaking and messing around with. Once you get it set, it's pretty much just like let it go, and a couple of tweaks here and there. We have a whole process and system for keeping an ad up and running forever. But Facebook definitely. And what's great about starting with Facebook, Google is probably second place. And depending on how you'd rate it, some people might rate Google a little better, but I still always start with Facebook because you learn so much about your targeting on Facebook that you can't learn as quickly on Google. You learn on Facebook, if you follow our process that we teach, you learn exactly how far of a radius to reach your audience. On Google, it's just a guessing game. You're just like, I don't know, maybe this far, maybe that far. It's tough. And you can't really track as closely as you can on Facebook and as easily. Google, the dashboard on Google is like the dashboard of a 747. Like there's so much crap in Google that you'll never use as a martial arts school owner. I mean, it's designed for like people that have a marketing degree to use. And Facebook can get a little complicated too, but it's easier to find the stuff. It's easier to figure that stuff out. So I always recommend Facebook first. Max out your budget on Facebook. And we actually have formulas and stuff that we teach our members exactly, like this is how much you can spend on here. The main thing is, are you getting a return on the investment, right? If you spend $1,000, are you getting $10,000 in return? If not, then we need to make fixes first before we start increasing the budget. But I would say max out the budget on Facebook first. Then we move into Google. And on Google, it's a couple of simple like search ads and maybe some retargeting if your budget is getting high. Typically as we raise the budget up, we do some retargeting, but that's getting into way more advanced stuff. You don't really need that. You could fill your school up literally with just Facebook ads alone. And that would be, the ideal situation. It's the easiest for sure. Radio, I've not had any success with radio. I've talked to some people who've done radio and just spent a lot of money. A really good friend of mine actually spent like 25 grand on radio ads because that's how they sell them. They sell them in like these packages. And, there might be local radio stations that spend a little less, but you got to spend a lot on a radio ad. I'm not seeing a way to track it, number one, or like really track it, and not a way to get anywhere near the kind of return that you'd have to spend. Billboards, I've heard good and bad things. I've never actually spoken to somebody who's used a billboard successfully and gotten results. I have spoken to some people who tried billboards that didn't really get any results. I can't tell you about billboards. What I can tell you is that Facebook is like having a billboard in front of your audience any time of day, and they don't need to drive past it, and you can actually target exactly who you want to show that billboard to. If you were going to put a billboard up on the highway and maybe 100,000 people drive past it, well, maybe only 50,000 of them are moms, and maybe only 25,000 of them even look at the billboard, and maybe only 10,000 of them actually remember the name that's on the billboard. And there's
Right.
there
Well, it's
there
difficult to take action, right? If you see
yeah,
the billboard, it
you're
might be
driving.
amazing and that's awesome. But it's difficult to actually like take any type of action. And then also, how do you quantify that, right? So we have a billboard and then someone comes to sign up and they don't even remember that they saw like, how do you tell did that dollar actually return $2?
Yeah. And there's
So
advanced, I mean, you can do some pretty advanced stuff to track that stuff, like setting up your own website just for the billboard that tracks, I mean, you could get real fancy, but at the end of the day, like it's not worth it. Billboards cost money, website costs money, all that setup takes time. And it's just simple. You just run an ad on Facebook. You can test it out with about $20 and know pretty much within 90% security that this ad is working or it's not. And we make some tweaks and you can test it. By the time you spent about $150, you ought to know for sure, like this ad's working.
absolutely. Perfect.
So hopefully that
So,
answered your question.
John, another kind of advantage I think that we can maybe build into it with the Facebook being a great platform is the difficulty with Billboard, for example, or some of these other methods is, hey, that billboard cost, and we're just using that as an example. You have to pay for the month or the 2 months or the 3 months, whatever the contract says, right? Whereas a huge advantage of Facebook is we can actually figure out, hey, what's the return immediately, make change. Like if you have that billboard up and you're like, oh, maybe we should have said it this way, or maybe this picture isn't working. Well, too late. The guy already put it up there. Now, if
Yeah.
it's digital, obviously they can make some changes, but still the difficulty of that. And they might charge you for that, or they might be like, well, next month you can make a change kind of thing. A huge advantage of Facebook, not only is it cost wise the cheapest, but just the versatility of it, the return on investment. John, can you kind of talk about how it's versatile as far as making adjustments, and then how actually Facebook is a great platform because it allows you to pay for itself, so you're actually not really paying for marketing.
Yeah. Love it. So, sorry, what was the first part? I was looking at some comments and I have trouble.
Just kind of the ability to adjust that. So a billboard, maybe we used a bad picture, we want
Yeah.
to change the picture, we can't change it, right? So how does Facebook allow us to kind of cut losses early and make adjustments quickly?
Yeah, I love it. So there's certain metrics or certain things that you can look at on Facebook that really help you quickly identify, like within dollars, of what's working, what's not working. And you can look at those. You can see, okay, this isn't working. You can make a change within a day or two. Let's say you have a $20 a day budget. You can set that up and then look at it the next day. And if you're not hitting those right metrics, those right numbers, you can make the change immediately. I used to own a call center and we used to send postcards. That was our thing. We sent postcards out and then we received phone calls. And to test a new image on the postcard costs us like 10 grand because you have to send so many postcards to get enough data to know, is this a good offer? You want to change the offer, you want to change the wording, anything you want to change, you have to pay for it all up front. Same thing with the billboard. Same thing with the radio. They cut those ads and then that's the ad they run. And to recut it, it costs money. So, that's a huge benefit of Facebook, is that it gives you this kind of nimble ability to change things on the fly as needed. And we don't recommend making a lot of changes if you have something that's working. That's another kind of other end of the spectrum. But certainly it makes things way easier to change on the fly based on the data that you're getting back, right? So if you see it's not working, you can make a change. We know what changes to make because we've seen enough of them, and you implement those changes, you test it. It's like being a scientist, right? You're playing with the formula until you get it right.
Yeah. And then how do you take that, John, when you make those changes and people come in? Another nice thing about Facebook is the delayed billing once you run consistently.
Oh,
So how can you kind of take when those changes take effect, starts working well, starts getting like a billboard flyers, you got to pay for that ahead of time, right? And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So what's a great thing about Facebook where it can kind of pay for itself as far as it comes to how the billing structure and things like that work?
yeah, absolutely. So depending on how seasoned your ad account is, when you first set it up, they'll probably charge you, at certain thresholds, $25, $75, that kind of thing. Once you've run ads for a couple of months, they actually won't bill you until a certain date once a month, depending on when you set your ad account up. But, let's say it's the 10th, billing is on the 10th. Well, you can run ads all of this month, all of October, and they'll bill you for October on the 10th of November. And by then, you should have, let's say you had a $20 a day budget and you spent it $20 every day in October, and then they go to bill you November 10th. Well, in all of that time, you should have booked appointments. If let's say you spent $20 a day, that's about $600. I would expect you to get on average 45 leads from that. If you got 45 leads, you should have booked 22 appointments. Those 22 appointments should come in within that week. So, even if they bill you on the 10th, all of the appointments that you booked from October's ad spend should have already come in the door by the 10th of November. So let's say that's the case. 45 leads, 22 appointments. You probably see 11 actually show up, right? Out of those 11 that show up, let's say only 10, which usually it's everybody, but let's say 10 upgrade to the paid trial on day one, which is what we teach. So they've come for the free week, but day one, they show up. They're like, this is great. I'd rather take the paid trial. I get a month. I get the uniform, $67, $87, depending on your pricing. If you collected $67 from 10 people, that's $670. You paid $600, you collected $670, and then Facebook charges you $600. Like, it's a no-brainer. It pays for itself up front. So that is really the beauty of, I'm glad you brought that up, Travis. That's the beauty of that delayed billing in Facebook, is they kind of give you a little bit of credit to kind of run with, get your ads going, and then you pay for it after the fact.
Yeah, I love that. It's awesome. Well, Vern had a great question, and I don't know if it's too early, John. We're about 35 minutes into the live stream, and typically we, kind of see if anybody else has any questions. Feel free to chat them in. But Vern had a great question. A lot of this stuff can kind of feel like, all right, you're talking about getting more people in the door in a full calendar. All right, that's difficult in itself. And then Facebook being the best platform and being able to make quick changes to get a return right away, but then also setting it up in a way where it pays for itself. When you start kind of putting all that together, it all makes sense. I think it's simple, but it can also be overwhelming. Well, how do I put all that together? And Vern had a great question. How do we help with this outside of these live streams? So I wasn't sure if now's a good time to dive into that, or if anybody had any more questions.
Totally. Let's dive into it. If you do have more questions, feel free to chat those in. But essentially, we have programs that are working awesome for martial arts schools right now. And if that's something that you want to dive into, what we do is a thing called a game plan call. That's our first step. And it's not a sales pitch. You literally cannot buy anything on our game plan calls. What the game plan call is for us to get on the phone with you specifically and talk through what issues you're particularly having, or what your goals are, those kind of things, to see where you actually want to be. And that will allow us to be able to assess, first of all, are you missing part of the process, and can we fill that in for you? And secondly, do you even like working with us? Is this even something that you would be interested in looking at? And so the game plan call is about 5 to 15 minutes, and really just depends on, how deep you want to go into your school. But typically, I don't think they ever last more than 15 minutes. It's 5 to 15 minutes. It's a short call. It's enough time for us to ask a few questions and for you to get a kind of a feel of, do I want to take another step and go a little deeper with these guys? And so if you want that, you can type the word game in the comments right now, GAME, And our program director, Ignacio, is on with us live right now, and he'll be able to get you set up on that call and get it scheduled for you in the next couple of days. We've opened up some time on our calendars for that specific reason. And so if you want that, just type the word game in the comments, and we will be sure to reach out in a private message and get you set up on the calendar so that we can kind of figure that out. But I love that. That's a great question. And I know a lot of times, I've watched live streams from people, and they never give us any action to take. Like, this is good. I want some action. So I'm glad that you asked that question. Awesome. Got a couple already. So yeah, I mean, if you want more specific help with this, definitely type the word game in the comments right now, and we will certainly help you shine some light on what we might be able to help with deeper, or some things. And sometimes these game plan calls go like this. We hear where you're at, and we know, after talking to literally thousands of martial arts schools, we know it's not going to be a good fit for you either right now, or maybe you'd be a good fit for something else. We've put together a bunch of resources that will help you get to the point where it would be a good fit. And we very often refer people to free resources that will help you get to that point. So, we're not in this to just cash grab. And I love something that Travis always says, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but the qualification to get into our program is not, does your credit card have a high enough limit? Like, that's not what we're about. We're about, can we help you? We want success stories. And we really won't even invite you into the program if we don't think it would be a good fit. And it happens probably more often than you would believe or think if you hadn't been on the phone with us and had us point you somewhere else. We might refer you to somebody else too. There's been times where, you'd be a better fit for what you're actually looking for in another, with another vendor, and our calendars are full. So we're perfectly comfortable with sending you to somebody who would be a better fit, because we know in the long run, it's an integrity play. And, we're in this to help. We're not in this for, obviously we make a great living doing this. We wouldn't be able to do it if we weren't making a great living already. But it's really, I think the reason we're making a great living and we have so much consistency and our business is thriving, first of all, a blessing from God. But I think that comes from just living by those values of having integrity and really doing what we say we're going to do, and being able to deliver on the progress or the promises. So appreciate that. Looking like we're getting some good some comments there asking for game plans already. So looking forward to connecting with you guys. Where do you want to go from here, Travis? We got
I think just kind of to that testament, Andrew Scott, thanks for joining us, Andrew. He similar thing. He was in this group just like everybody else. He just come in a game. He jumped on a game plan call with Ignacio, I think earlier last week or maybe the week before. It was a good fit for what he was trying to do from what Ignacio could tell. So he and I then talked, very casual conversation, see if it was a good fit. He actually went back to his team and talked to his business partner. We jumped back on the call and we all agreed, hey, this is good for everybody, kind of thing. And now he's in the student magnet. So he's actually already, he's got these things in place, and he's going to be able to implement this stuff step by step without having to try to figure out, well, what's the best thing for me to do? He has the best thing. He just needs to follow the process and he'll get there. So I'm excited that you're on here, Andrew. And I'm excited for that to be a success story for you, man.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. I love it. And I think that's another thing that kind of differentiates us is, we talked to a lot of school owners that, I remember you had one, Travis, who was like, no, I want you to sell me something. And like, she was mad that you wouldn't sell her anything. And it was like, we're not there yet. We're not ready,
Right.
And I think there's this industry of like, I because we're coaches, I get bombarded with ads about like, how to sell hard and sell and all this kind of like machismo sort of like, let's close deals. And, we just don't operate like that. We just have casual conversations that we know are going to move us toward that at the right pace. And if you need to talk it over with your team, obviously we'd prefer to have your team on the call with us, but it doesn't always work out that way. And we're not going to like put a bunch of pressure on you to get started today or anything like that. We're here. We're here to help. And we're going to be here to help tomorrow and the next day too. So if you need to talk it over with anybody or anything like that, we're all about that. Yep. I certainly wouldn't want somebody making a decision like without their spouse.
Right.
those sales trainings drive me crazy. Like how to overcome I need to talk it over with my spouse. It's like, why would you want to overcome that? Just let them talk to their spouse.
Right.
If what you have to offer is that good, talk
Right.
it over.
I don't want to be the source of an argument for anybody. I don't
No,
want someone to join our program and then go to a business partner or a spouse or something and then be like, us be the reason why someone's in a conflict.
no.
Just like you don't, you wouldn't want to be the source of a conflict. And that's really, like John said, our whole goal is to help people out, put them in a position to be successful. If that's with us, that's great. If it's with, we've referred people to other places, just like we talked about that school owner. So um, if you want to know what that looks like, just go ahead and comment game. Vern, great example. You're trying to rebuild a school where the master is retiring. We work with so many school owners where, hey, you're taking over the school. There were old ways of doing things. I get it. When I'm about to retire, I might not want to do new stuff anyway. I'm on my way out the door. Why would I want to do something new? But no one wants to paint a house they're about to sell, right?
Yeah.
So, Vern, we talked to a lot of school owners that they're taking over and they want to get it going right. And they've been able to implement a process and go. And maybe that's a good fit for you. Maybe there's something else. So I'm excited for you to connect with Ignacio and have that call. So if anybody else is in a position where they're just looking for, hey, what's new and fresh? What do we need to do now to get more students in the door? Let's jump on a call and just comment game, and we'll reach out and see if we can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, I love it. And Vern, while you're waiting on that game plan call, Josh Picard, we did an interview with Josh Picard, who was in that exact situation. He took over a school from a master who was retiring. It was a school that he trained at, actually. So he had been there for years, coming up through the ranks, and then took the school over. If I remember correctly, it was Josh Picard, wasn't it? I think.
Yep.
Yeah. We did an interview with him. Check out the resources on him. The resources section in the group, and you'll see the interview with Josh Picard, or probably just search Josh, but he'll be a good example of somebody you can probably relate to a lot. Awesome. Well, it looks great. I think we're coming up to that time. So if anybody has any more questions, definitely feel free to chat those in. If you have specific questions, we're here to answer questions. I mean, we're not holding anything back. We're pulling back the curtain. Ask us anything, and I'm happy to answer those questions right here on the call. But if you are looking for a deeper dive, just go ahead and type the word game in the comments, and we'll make sure we get you on our calendar for that game plan call. You guys getting value out of this? We got people watching. If you're getting some value, just type the word value in the comments and let us know. If you're not ready for a game plan call, but you're definitely getting some value out of this, just type the word value in the comments. We like to see it. It's kind of like, letting us know. It's like a head nod. It's like when you're doing a live talk somewhere and somebody nods their head, that's what we need. Type the word value if you just want to nod your head, or give me like a head nodding emoji, or I think one of these. Yes.
We got an awesome from Vern. I'll count that as a value. Very cool.
All right. I love it. Good. All right. Well, this is what we do here at Get Karate Students. We help martial arts schools get more students. And really, it's about having an entire system built around the process of bringing people in the door, right? And I know there's a lot of schools that have tried things, or school owners that have maybe tried to run an ad or tried to do something and it just didn't work out. And usually when we dig in deep to it, we find out that it's failed because there's no process around it. So hopefully you're seeing how we have this very dialed in. And if you're getting value, type the word value. Awesome. Good to see. We got some value on there already. But if you're ready for that game plan call, just type the word game in the comments. Let's just get right to it, right? Let's get down. Let's talk. Let's get on the phone. 5 to 10 minutes. Get on the phone for that game plan call. You're definitely not obligated to purchase anything from us. In fact, like I said, probably one out of three probably we don't even offer them to join. Right. We usually
it's just not the right fit for them, and really, yeah. It's about providing insight for you guys, just like we're doing right now. We might jump on that call. Hey, what's been going on? And we've been doing billboards. Okay. Well, here's a basic training on some Facebook stuff to see if it's something that you would want to do, or maybe your rates aren't in the right place. There's all kinds of different things. There's all kinds of different symptoms. This isn't a doctor comes in and he wants to perform surgery on everybody, right? You might just need Advil, right?
Right.
If you went into a doctor and they were like, all right, get ready for surgery. Well, wait a minute. You didn't even ask me any questions, right? So we want to make sure it's not something where you need Advil, or you might need surgery. Who knows?
Right.
But it's about getting that value and just having that conversation. So, and one of the great things about it is if you're on the replay right now, go ahead and make sure you're commenting on this, typing in replay, asking your questions. John and I and Ignacio, we check the video. Even after the fact, we get notified anytime someone comments on these. So we'll jump in and we'll answer your questions on the replay because we want to provide you value too. That's our whole goal. Go to the guide section. You'll see where everything we do is about trying to get some value.
Yep. Got a question for Vern. Yes, Vern, somebody will reach out through Messenger, probably Ignacio. Sometimes in Facebook Messenger, they go to your, what's it called? Message requests. Yep. So you might have to check over in the message request.
I'm tagging Ignacio so he can click on Ignacio and then go to message and should see it there too.
Yeah. Make sure you guys are friends on Facebook. If you're not already friends with Ignacio, just send him a friend request. And that way those messages tend to get through a little bit better. But, maybe you guys that are watching have questions about how to run the ad, how to set the ad up. Maybe it's how to do the upgrade, how to do it without feeling sleazy or salesy. Or maybe just, what are those tweaks? Maybe you've had an ad, maybe you had some success with ads, but maybe the quality you feel is low. Quantity is good, quality is low. We have systems around all of this, and we have systems and processes in place right now that school owners are using on a daily basis that are working like crazy. And so if you want those systems, we want you to have the systems. Type the word game in the comments and we'll show you how you can get those systems plugged right into your school. And I think one thing that I want to make sure that you understand is like, we don't do cookie cutter stuff. What we teach is principles and templates. So you have things at your fingertips that you can use and change to match your school, to match the culture and the branding, all that stuff of your school. So we're not doing like cookie cutter stuff. We're doing very like specific training and stuff that's life lasting. And if 10 years from now, Facebook goes out of business and some new platform pops up, you'll be able to take these same principles and apply them to whatever platform and hit the ground running. We've seen it. We've proven it with Google. We've done the same thing with Facebook, moved it over to Google, and we've seen, the results just continue to come in. So if you're looking for those systems and you're ready to learn that stuff, just type the word game in the comments right now. And if you're ready to fill up those mats and ready to break through some growth barriers, go ahead and type the word game in the comments right now. It's a 5 to 15 minute call. We want to help you. We want to help you figure this stuff out. Really what we want to do is get you to a place like where our members are, where they're putting in maybe $600 a month and making an extra $6,000 a month in return from that. We want to help you get there. We can't guarantee it. Obviously, there's no guarantees in anything. But these are the kind of results that we're typically seeing. Those are standard results. If you put 600 in, surely you can get 1,200 out. Most schools that we work with are getting a 10x return on their investment when you consider lifetime in student enrollment. And some, like I think Josh, that we mentioned earlier, is getting like, he was getting like a 50x or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
That was insane. And so if that's you, if you're looking for breaking through those growth barriers or having a proven way to attract students to your school, just type the word game in the comments right now. Even if you're on the replay, you can type the word game in the comments as well. And we're going to be watching this. And what'll happen is, we'll reach out, we'll have a quick conversation, and we'll see if your story lines up with our success stories. And if it does, then we'll plug you into how to implement that stuff. And if it doesn't, we'll point you to the right resources that you can use to get to that point, or maybe refer you to somebody else who's going to be a better fit. So, we see tons of success stories. It was great. I was on vacation last week and I popped in to, check some messages and to make sure everything's going okay. Travis's back is tired from carrying this company last week, but it was great to pop in and I saw like 15 success stories while I'm on vacation. It was just amazing to see like people having success. And that's what's great. And I think it's a huge differentiator is that you get the glory for the success. You get the benefit and you get the control over it, right? I've talked to some school owners who have used agencies before, and the glory goes to the agency. And then when they fail, you have the only thing you can do is fire them and move on to another agency. With what we do, we coach you on how to do this. So it's lifelong. It's like teaching a man to fish, right? You get to learn what to do to keep it being successful. So that's what just is exciting for me, is that We used to own an agency, and I could never go on a vacation for a week with an agency because I just wouldn't have had the time to do it. So this is just great that you get to see the success, and you get to take credit for the success of just implementing something. So if you guys want that call, just type the word game in the comments right now. You see, we have any more questions coming in, Travis? I lost my chat.
No, we got Drew Scott, new student Magnum member. He's in week 1 of the training, and he said many of the things you're mentioning are in the other training. Yes. So yes. Questions you have, Andrew? We can dive into that separately too. If you have specific stuff, send me a message. But Andrew just got into the student magnet, and one thing that he's asking is, "Hey, is this all going to be clarified?" Which I want to make sure that people understand. Yes, we I call it the macaroni and cheese method. Like, it doesn't leave anything out. Like, it says, get a pot, put water in it, boil the water. This is how much water. Get the box, open the box.
So, very step by step.
Yeah. So what we do in our beginning of ours is we want everyone to see what's possible and kind of have an overview of the path that's ahead of them so they can get prepared mentally and to be in that position. So Andrew, you're probably in that part right now where we're getting you prepared for the journey ahead. And then when we get on that journey, we have a full GPS for that journey for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually we do a members only Q&A call for specific questions for members. It's a Zoom call that you can actually get on, and we'll unmute you and we can actually have a conversation. We do that twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays at noon Eastern. So Andrew, you can definitely, the link for that's going to be inside the training portal, how to access the Q&A calls. We do specific members only trainings for anything where you can share your screen. We'll actually get into ads manager. We'll jump into any part of the process that you need specific help with, and we'll dive into those things. So that's a members only call. That's on Mondays and Thursdays at noon Eastern every single week. And so hopefully if you have specific questions, once you get through week 1, you might run into a couple things where you're unclear on something, and we can clear all that stuff up. Today, we had a good one today. It was like an hour and a half long for the members only. So it was a good one. Awesome. So good. GPS from GKS, Derek said.
There you go.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, if you want that game plan, type the word game in the comments right now. We'll see if we can help you. And I know, we've had tons of, Derek's one of my favorite success stories. This guy's just blown up his school, went through COVID, came out of COVID. Just, he knows the process. Now he's in our Legacy Masters Academy. He's got this thing backwards and forwards, and he's done about 25 testimonial videos for us. So I love it. I love you, Derek. Good stuff. All right. Well, we're interested in finding out what's going to help you specifically who are watching. So go ahead and type the word game in the comments right now. We'll go ahead and help you out with that. And by the way, we're not looking for like the McDojo minded, get rich quick, do nothing, pay type school owners. I don't think anybody's in this group that's actually doing that. We have a pretty strict kind of no McDojo policy on our even getting into this free group. But if you are that, kindly just exit the group because we can't help you. You got to have a good curriculum. You got to be doing good stuff. You got to be passionate about the community and just looking to grow. And if you want to grow, just type the word game in the comments and we'll go ahead and get you on our calendar and we'll see if we can help. So I think this is probably the last time I'll say it, Travis, unless anybody else has any more questions. We're coming up on the hour here.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, if you need help with running Facebook ads, filling your mats, breaking through growth barriers, any of that stuff, or maybe you just are looking to ways to attract new students, get paid a premium for your quality instruction, or break through those growth barriers. If you're looking to leave a legacy, or maybe you're just looking to make an extra few $1,000s per month from your school, just type the word game in the comments right now and we'll reach out. We'll get you tons of clarity. We'll get you a bunch of value on that call as well. And you'll be able to see if we're a good fit. We'll see if you're a good fit. So last time I'll say it, we're going to type the word game, GAME, in the comments right now, and we'll go ahead and reach out. Thanks for joining us. I love these Q&A calls. It's just the most engaging for me. So
yeah, definitely.
Had a great time. Hope you guys got some value out of this and enjoyed it. And we'll see you back here. I think we're off next Monday. No live stream next Monday, but we got something.
We have a special announcement next Monday, so keep an eye out for it.
Keep an eye out for that next Monday. And then we'll see you here the following Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, guys. See you.